for joining us. I'm Jo from Atwell Solicitors, and this is Abs from Keller Estate Agents in Ipswich. We've just sort of come together today to have a brief conversation about the property market. So the first question is what advice would you give first-time buyers who are trying to get onto the property ladder?
So this is a very difficult one, Matt. In the last couple of years, the government have been helping a lot of first-time buyers. We've helped buy really good saving schemes, and like new builds, people can buy at a discount rate compared to someone that's already owning a home. So my advice would be to fix your finances first before you look at houses that you want to buy. You can do it without a finance on a BMW or a Mercedes for the first few years. That's what held me back when I bought my house. I could have got more in terms of what the bank would offer me, but because I had a finance car, that held me back. So I would tell a lot of first-time buyers and young people to make sure you fix your own financial security first before you look at buying houses. And once you've fixed your finances, and you've got good credit rating, paying off your bills constantly, no delayed payments, then I would say to look at houses in your area and trying to dream of what you can achieve and put some goals in place.
I think one of the things was speaking to a mortgage advisor was these regular payments. And if you have regular payments, you sign a contract, even if it's for a mobile phone or like you said, car hire, anything that you have to pay regularly, they will discount from how much you can borrow. So that's a really important message.
And the other thing is, like you've got, for a first-time buyer, it's really hard because you don't have £30,000-40,000 just there sitting just for you to, as equity, to buy another house. So you've got to get yourself from, stage one, which is £0, to that lump sum of money in order for you to buy a house. And not everybody buys a new house. A lot of people buy, built houses from 100 years ago or 50-year houses. So it's not brand new houses people are buying. You've got to shop around with your mortgage brokers as well. Because there is a lot of offers to be had. And if you don't shop around, then like anything, you're not going to save money.
Yeah, exactly. You're not going to get the best deal. What's your opinion on shared ownerships? Shared ownership is buying a property. Normally it's a flat or an apartment where you own a percentage of the property. So you don't own it all. You own, say, 25% or 40%. So typically you own a percentage and you have a mortgage on that percentage, and then you pay rent on the remaining to the landlord, so the person that owns the lease. So this is typically like a housing association type of organisation. So you have two payments associated with housing association property, or shared ownership property rather. And what you can do is you can do something called laddering. So say you buy it off at 25% and you've got a 25% ownership of the property. You can at some stage increase that in increments. I believe it's 10%. It may have been reduced now. So then you can go up to 35%. That's how you gradually own it. I personally quite rate them, but I know some people don't. So what's your opinion on that?
Okay, so it's a great way to enter the property market, no doubt. If you're paying rent on a normal, for example, as a family, you're paying in Ipswich around £850-900 a month on a house, whereas a mortgage payment would be considerably less. So that difference in savings will help your family to have a better quality of life. So it all depends on each person's circumstances.
Our second question is how can people trying to sell their property create more interest?
Simple things like staging your home, get rid of all the clutter in pictures to make sure your property feels fresh and someone can actually dream of being in your house rather than seeing your, shampoo bottles, what shampoo you uses, or games consoles and stuff like that. So it is really important to make sure your house looks perfect.
I've been trying to sell my home now for a couple of months. It's really hard to keep it clean. if you can create like a space where it's almost neutral, so people can imagine themselves there, then for me, I think that's sort of the best tip I can offer.
Maybe it's good if you tell one of your friends that's very honest to walk in with you through your house and see what you can change. Things like putting a fragrance on while someone's in, putting the radiators on so it's cozy, it doesn't feel cold, and that person wants to be inside the house a bit longer, and making them feel welcome. If you're selling a house and you want to make a look like you don't want to get loads of undervalue offers, just paint your front door. Make sure your hallway is painted.
The next question is, how can sellers and buyers speed up the moving process? This is probably really good at the moment because of the stamp duty holiday, but we'll go on to that later. But how would you say, well, what can you do to speed up? I know from a legal perspective, and I can come up with some answers in a minute, but what would you say from an estate agent perspective?
It's really, really important for you to choose your conveyancer, and a competent conveyancer. People like a law firm that will actually do the work properly and on time, rather than make sure you've done your gas certificate safety on your boiler. Make sure all your things are up to date in terms of electrics and plumbing and all those kind of things. Literally just getting your house in order before you sell.
So Move Ready allows you to get a head start in your conveyancing, basically. It allows you to get a lot of the documentation, which has been talking about, done. So I've done this because I'm in the process of selling my house. And so for me, all the certificates, the services on my boiler, double glazing, my extension I had done, all these different things have been signed off, and my conveyancer has all these certificates now, and they're done. We've also gone through some of the basic searches and different things that are required. So when I do get a buyer, I'd say about 50%, if not more, of my conveyancing is now done. So that speeds up the transaction. There's so much you can actually do. And also as well, if you're doing it before you've actually got a buyer, like I found it gave me some time. So I did have time to book in a plumber, for example, to get my boiler serviced, which was really important. And it just adds that layer of confidence to the person who's going to purchase your home, that actually you've got everything in order, and it does speed up the process significantly. So that's what we do. And again, for Offer Ready, I just feel this is a service that's probably underrated. But to have, if you're a first time buyer, to have someone who's a property expert from a legal perspective just to speak to, who's not got any vested interests on what property you buy, just to pick up the phone to him and say, do you know what, I'm confused by this, I don't know what they meant by this. I just think it's just golden. It's fantastic. So
it's amazing. So
buyers, have a look at Offer Ready. Obviously, second time buyers, do look at Move Ready too, because it can speed up your conveyancing significantly. There was so many things that I just didn't think of, and I work in the industry and I didn't think of it. So Move Ready, can't speak highly enough of it. If you're moving, the best thing I did. So I'd definitely recommend it. Go and do it.
Yeah, I would too.
Right. So the next question is, what do you think will happen to the property market if the stamp duty holiday is not extended?
I think the main issue is we, as a country, the coronavirus, it has put us into a massive kind of debt and a black hole in terms of our finances. Mm-hmm. So is it worthwhile for the government to give more tax breaks to people that are moving, or concentrate funds towards helping other people? Because it is the allocation of our budget really at the end of the day. So for me, I feel like what's going to happen is we're not going to extend the stamp duty, but we are looking towards kind of a price drop next year after stamp duty kind of finishes. The issue is for us now is there's a lot of people losing their jobs. If they extend it, that's great. That's amazing. And we've seen loads of activity, pent-up demand, and people that necessarily wouldn't have moved are now moving.
Yeah.
And it has helped a lot of people out. But in the long run, as a country, I think it will be wrong for us to extend the stamp duty because it will create more debt.
I think it's a difficult one. With all these things, I'm really glad that I'm not the one making the decisions. I do feel that the stamp duty has been really beneficial for people, especially, second time buyers, because obviously, stamp duty is a big factor, especially if you've got a young family. Yes.
So in Ipswich currently, we have around 870 houses that are on sale below £500,000. Mm-hmm. And there's around 60 houses on sale above 600k.
One of the things that we've seen is people wanting places to work from home from, office space.
Yeah.
On to the next question. What would your advice be second time buyers moving in 2021? So I'm guessing that by the stamp duty you've missed, maybe not.
Well, maybe not. Well, these next 2 months, like January and February, is probably the most crucial time in order to sell your house to save money for the stamp duty. Mm-hmm. So we are expecting to have a massive boom in terms of estate agents these next month, because people are trying to save money for their stamp duty and downsize as quickly as possible. So if you can get a good deal for your money and you get offers, I would say sell your house and then buy something before the stamp duty, goes. But let's say you've missed that boat and now you're like, oh, what do I do? It's really difficult, because at the moment, people are going to be selling their houses like hotcakes, mm-hmm. and they'll take what most likely an offer that's probably below market in order to save some money down the line. Whereas if you've missed the stamp duty cut off and the economy does go downhill a bit, then I would say to improve your house in terms of furnishing, paint it in order to create more kind of vibe and increase the property value, and look at still selling and buying, because why should you let the economy judge what you want to do? Like, if you want to move houses, people have moved houses before the stamp duty. Yeah. So it's a natural cycle. If you want to move, you move. Like, why should you let the tax or the economy ruin?
Well, for me, again, from my perspective, this is like supply and demand kind of issue for me. So at the moment, there's lots of demand and there's lots of supply, so then the price falls. When there's less supply, the price goes up. I guess the question is, will demand be there? But I wouldn't necessarily shy away if I missed the boat. I wouldn't necessarily shy away if I was a second-time buyer from doing it.
Yeah.
The important things for me would be to maybe look at the area. I know a lot of parents are concerned about schools and how the schools are performing. For me, an older mother here, I'd be less concerned about that, just because schools tend to fluctuate. So we've got a school around here that's not doing so great, but used to be doing really great, and one that wasn't doing so great, but now is doing really well. And so in my many years, I've noticed there's a pattern where the schools fluctuate, and they more or less even out over time. And ultimately, it's more about the student than it is the school of these cases. So I would kind of look at, from my perspective, the area, because ultimately your child's only going to be at that school for a certain period of time, whereas you may be living there, 10, 15 plus years or whatever, maybe for the rest of your life. What's the area like? So I'd look at that and what facilities are local to that area. Also as well, I should probably add in a note here that in terms of a legal perspective now, if you're trying to move forward the stamp duty deadline, no legal firm can actually guarantee you that, regardless of what they say. The reason for that is the searches and a lot of the third-party elements that we have to do as conveyancers. Yeah. I say we, I'm not a conveyancer. So they're taking longer because there's so many people trying to do it. And obviously COVID, so they're not fully staffed either, the issues around that. So in terms of giving advice for 2021, I would be really careful if someone promised you that they could move you before the deadline. I mean, I think in terms of our firm, obviously we're trying to move as many people as possible, and that's definitely, we obviously understand that importance. But equally, I think buyers, especially if you're coming into the market or selling your house and you haven't done like anything like move ready, and you're now entering the property arena sort of January time.
Yeah.
You've only really got a 2-month window there. That's only 8 weeks. 8 weeks is probably our best conveyancing time. Could possibly do it, but again, it would depend on things like your chain, and it depend on third party. So, for example, again, going back to the jargon-free promise, a chain is how many people are in the buying process. So, the best way to explain this is, if I'm selling my house, and the people that are buying my house are selling a house too, then the person who's buying their house is a first-time buyer. Well, that's part of my chain. So we've got to wait for the first-time buyer to get the mortgage to buy that house, to then release the funds so they can buy my house, and then I could be buying a house of someone who's also buying a house of someone. So then you potentially have 5 or 6 different people in the chain. So when we talk about the length of the chain, it's very important in terms of the length of conveyancing. If you're lucky and say the person who's buying my house is a first-time buyer, and I'm then buying a house which has got no one on the chain because maybe the property's been sold because of probate, which is a house being sold after someone has sadly passed away, then that chain's very small. So that is a lot less work. Therefore, you may have an opportunity there to do it. But I would be very mindful of people that, again, promise you that they can do it for the deadline, because ultimately it's not in their control. And we do have disclaimers out on our emails currently that's saying that, because we don't want to be giving our clients false hope, trying to be realistic.
No.
But again, if you're trying to move and you want to move, I imagine you're doing it for reasons beyond the £2,000 or £3,000 or maybe more, depending on how big your house is and how much it's worth, tax rate that you're going to get. I should imagine that was an incentive and a cherry on top of the proverbial cake, but it wasn't, the main reason. So that'd be my advice.
And you've got to think also, like, you're talking about there's loads of houses in the market in terms of demand. Compared to this time last year, a semi-detached house in the IP4 area used to go around 290,000. They're selling for 237 at the moment. So this time last year, you can see the difference in terms of how much the price has dropped.
Yeah.
Although there is a lot of demand and houses are selling, but they're not selling as high because on the same street you've got 3 houses for sale near each other. That's how it is now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So as a buyer, you've got more kind of, should we say, choice? Yeah, that's what it is. Like, you've explained it perfectly, really well, to be fair. It's just, I think you've got to be cautious as promises from estate agents. Estate agents aren't miracle workers, or they're not magicians. They're not going to get you, they're not going to make you beat your stamp duty holiday. They're here to do marketing, technically. So it's really important you choose an estate agent where they're competent and they are enthusiastic in terms of selling your house. Another important thing is, if your house is on the market and you get an offer, make sure, please make sure, the person that's putting an offer can actually afford to buy your house, and they have mortgages on the table. Because you don't want to go down, okay, I've got an offer, 3 weeks later, sorry, they don't meet financial checks, or they don't have enough mortgage to buy the house. So I would strongly recommend to letting your estate agent know that, can you make sure this person is able to afford, like I do it myself. When someone puts an offer in, I make sure they can afford to buy the house before anything goes in further, so it doesn't waste anyone's time.
I think a few do now. I also found that some have quite stringent criteria about viewing them too, so that they want you to have sold your house before you view them. I'm wondering if something to do with COVID, sort of reducing the amount of sort of risk there. I'm not sure, but yeah, certainly I've heard that's in place. And for people that are thinking about buying and selling, you need to really consider that point. It's very important, because that can be a factor in terms of time wasting, which time is of the essence in conveyancing. So yeah, be wary of that. So I think that's all the questions we have. Thank you for joining me, and I hope that too much of an experience here.